better.
There you go. Better.
I went to four
We're live.
stadiums.
Folks. We're live. We're live. We're live. We got
All the way live, Sam.
Yeah. I don't know what happened when I said live. All of a sudden, Al Borges just popped on. It just fixed itself. I don't know. We were having
I'm good when I'm live, son. I'm good when I'm.
We were having technical difficulties, and they just magically it just started working. What happened, Al?
I don't know what
How
to tell
did
you.
you do that?
You know I'm not the solution, that's for sure. I'm a technological moron, as you well know.
I don't know how that happened. We were having, I mean, he was like, I don't know. I just said, Al, we'll just go live. We'll just go live and we'll just deal with the consequences. We'll explain it to the people. And suddenly, when it was showtime, Al just was up to the task. That's amazing.
I raised my hands and I said, fix it. And it fixed. They used to say Bear Bryant could do that with the weather. He'd walk in the stadium, be raining, and he'd raise his hand, stop raining, and it would stop raining.
That's amazing. Folks, welcome to the Michigan Football Breakdown. Focus on the offense with Al Borges. Gorgeous Al Borges is back with us. Fresh off the celebration. He was down at Oregon. Down at Auburn, not Oregon. Oregon was one of your mini stops.
Yes, it was.
But you were down at Auburn celebrating the 20th anniversary of your undefeated team, where you were the offensive coordinator down there, right?
Yep, that was. It was a blast. I saw guys I haven't seen in 20 years. It was really, really a good deal, man. I mean, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, you were the offensive coordinator for that team where you had Cadillac Williams, and Ronnie Brown. I mean, that was a great team.
First-round draft picks, Sam. That's a pretty good team.
It's a pretty good team. 4 first-round picks you had on that squad.
2 running backs picked in the first 5 picks. How about that? I don't think that's been done. Okay. So, yeah, it's pretty good.
That's pretty good, Al.
Made me look smart. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to make me look smart, Sam. Those guys made me look smart.
Pretty good resume there, Al. So, yeah.
So I'm leaving this week again, Sam. I got a 30th anniversary of my Boise team that went to the national championship. We lost the national championship to who? Jim Tressel, Youngstown State, back in 1994. So I'm doing the same thing all over again.
Yeah, you could be out there hanging with Devin Gardner.
Oh, no. He called me last night. He says, where are you going to be? I go, wherever you're not. Okay.
That ought to be fun. Who would have thunk it? You and Devin Gardner in Boise at the same time. And it wasn't planned. Nope. It's amazing how that works out. Nope. That ought to be really, really fun, though. More fun than I imagine breaking down the film this week, which we did. Folks, the film study, always educational. Not always fun, but always educational. The film study is available over on the Autograph app. You always learn something, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what you hope is that as they get into it, that eventually, as they keep straining, because the dudes are still playing hard. I mean, I think that's still something to hold on to, something to commend, that these dudes, they're still straining. They're still fighting. They're still playing together. For all the pros that they have at the top of this roster, these dudes are still out there grinding. They haven't mailed it in. So if they still have that maybe they'll be able to put something together at some point and cut out a few of these mistakes and piece something together, Al, where maybe they'll be able to pull some of this out. Because, boy, that drive in the second half of this game, that first drive, they come out, they force that 3 and out, and then they put together what I think was the best offensive drive of the season. Then they come out and then they force another. They get another third down stop in the season, where third down, getting off the field on third down, those have been tough to come by, and they do it in back-to-back drives.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well, if they can do that, if they can piece together some of that here down the stretch, maybe they can do something. And then, of course, they had that mistake on special teams. It's like if they can do a little of that here down the stretch, maybe they can do something of note here I digress, though, Al. I want to tell the people they can find the film studies, but first I want to welcome you here to the show.
Well, thanks, Sam. I appreciate it, and I like being here, win or lose. But I will say this: last year was a little bit more fun. Okay, but we got to figure out why, Sam. I mean, we can whine about what happened and all that, but we got to figure out why. That's why we have this show. We talk about why it happened and how it happened. We don't cry about what happened. We figure it out so we can move on to the next game. Okay. In this game, I thought Davis Warren played better. Now he still had a few pocket issues, but for the most part, I mean, I graded him. He had half as many minuses as he had the week before, so he was much better. There were some missed chances. Okay, like the first third down conversion, 3rd and 7, where he turned down a shallow cross, which I think would have got a first down, and red zone late in the game. There was some chance there. It's 31-17. We score there. It's 31-24, and the crowd's in the game, and Oregon's swallowing hard. So that was a chance. And then there was a wide delay play in the game that was going to be a touchdown. I believe it was going to be a touchdown. There was nobody there, but that went awry. So there were some chances. Alex was effective, probably not as effective as a week ago, but still pretty effective. He's justifying his turns. You know, he's in there, and usually when he's in there, something good's going to happen. The big thing, Sam, the big thing is we got to find a way to start faster. We got to start faster, you know, maybe empty the drawer and give them, you know, all kinds of nonsense at the beginning of the game. Get them in a back pedal and see what happens. You know what I mean? But we got to find a way to get that first down and start faster. Now, we've been better in the second half of the game. We just got to let that happen in the first half, and I think it'll make a difference. We hit some shots, Sam. We had some shots. We had 3 shots for good play, and that's been an issue, I think, earlier in the season. But we hit a flea flicker. We hit a little sail route to the tight end, and we hit a little what I call a rattle route where we hit Colston down the middle for a big gain. So for the most part, again, it's consistency of play. I mean, you could say that, you know, anytime you lose, and sometimes even when you win, the consistency of play. There's some beautiful plays in this game. Some really cool stuff. I mean, you're watching Donovan hit a dual play right downhill. You're watching Alex take a little pin and pull around the corner. Like I talked about the rattle play and the sail route. There's some really training real plays. We just got to get more consistency to those plays. The ball was not turned over, was it, Sam? We didn't have turnover.
Not turned over.
That kept us in the game because we got turnovers. They'd have murdered us. Okay, but not just them, probably anybody. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You can see some of it if you check out the film studies. The film studies can be found on Autograph. You can find the Autograph app by going to link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. That is link.ag.fan/Sam Webb, and download the Autograph app. And listen, start enjoying the Autograph app if you haven't already. And the great thing about the Autograph app that Tom Brady and his crew came up with is once you watch those film studies, Al and Vance do with me, they do a great job of doing the good, the bad, and the ugly. You watched all the other free videos, Michigan videos, listen to the free podcasts, watch or read the free blogs, read the free content from the Michigan Insider, for instance. You accrue points. You can redeem those points for tickets to games, exclusive events. It's a great concept that Tom Brady and his crew came up with. So they reward you for doing things you already do anyway. Reward you for being fans. Great concept. So again, enjoy the Autograph app. Support Al and Vance, right? Because you know, hey man, you want them? These dudes, they're come on. You know, don't want to just have them out here doing these film studies for free.
No.
It's hard work, man. Hard work.
It is hard work. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. You know, it gives me my football fix, Sam. When you're retired, you need a fix. And this gives me my football fix. It's kind of cool. If I didn't have to work with you, it'd be perfect.
Link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. But listen, there are some things that stuck out to me in this game, Al, before we start getting into the questions and the grades. Just the way they started out the game from a strategic standpoint, just didn't seem to me to be very. It seemed ill-conceived to me to try to attack them laterally in the run game.
Yeah, that was going to be tough.
Yeah, and a fast, athletic, fast flow team. They had some run-throughs there that were obviously problematic. They were blowing them up. Once Michigan hit them downhill, there was a power that hit early that was effective, and then when they started attacking them down the field, so early down passing and downfield passing, when they paired the two with downfield rushing, or downhill rushing, I should say, that mix was what worked. So when I said first down, I said first down passing. And somebody said, well, they have thrown on first down. Well, I'm not talking about first down passing in a box. I'm not talking about first down passing in the flat, Al. I'm talking about first down passing downfield.
Downfield. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
I think,
about,
Sam,
Al.
is the theme, I think, is attack the middle of the field, whether it be with the run game or the pass game, right? And I think that's where they're most effective. If you look at the way the game started, they started the game with a crack toss, okay? Oregon returned the front to the boundary towards the toss. They couldn't get it pinned, and they lost 5 yards. The second play was a downhill split zone that gained 8 yards, okay? And the third play was a little chase route where Davis probably missed a read, should have hit the shallow cross for a first down. He would have bailed them out of that bad play, but they didn't do that. Then the second drive, they tried to run a little fly series arc, a little fly action with Colston. That lost 2 yards. Again, sideways running. And then they ran a naked play. They gained 6 yards. And then the third play, 3rd and 6, the quarterback got hassled in the pocket and fumbled the ball. So now you got 2 3-and-outs. And then they came back in the third drive. They ran a power reverse. They couldn't get the center out on the safety. So that play gained nothing. But then they ran that quad power. That one we're going to demonstrate. We drew up. You haven't seen it yet. If you're watching the films, you see it. I think it went for 18 yards, straight downhill. A dual kick that gained 5 yards. Orji ran a little horn play. Outside runs with the quarterback aren't bad because you got extra blockers. And then then Davis made a great play on a little pick swirl play where he threw it back in. Real hairy throw, but it wasn't really a risky throw because he put it where only the good guy could get it. So the start of the game, that's the key is find some deals that you can do early that cater to your team and can get you that first down so you can get in sync. Because that's offense, Sam. You get in sync and it's infectious. One play feeds on the next play, feeds on the next play. And you got one good one after another one. But the problem is it works in reverse when you don't. If you got one bad play followed by another bad play, and then all of a sudden you're not in sync, and the defense is getting confident. So they just got to find a way, I think, to start faster.
Yeah. That was a big deal. I felt like, and I said this in my post game, that comfort zone for the play caller, comfort zone for Davis. So how to achieve comfort zones for both. So I felt from a play call perspective, he needed to get comfortable with calling some early down passes, calling some passes on first down. He was really heavy on calling runs, first and second down run. It took him a minute to warm up to calling some early down passes, right? To not put Davis in a position where he was throwing in obvious pass situations. Did it more as warmed up to it as the game progressed. But it was a process, Al. So I want you to get into that. And then for Davis, getting more comfortable with hanging in the pocket.
Yeah,
he was better in this game for sure, but there were some instances where he just left good protection. Now, not as many in this game, but still a few in this contest where you're like, boy, hanging that pocket hanging that, but trust your protection. And even though this is not the best line, he is gonna take some hits with this line. You're gonna take some hits with any line, but you're gonna take more hits with this line than most. You know that going into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first 8 out of 9 first downs were runs. Now that's something a year ago they could probably do and did successfully in some games. I'm just not sure they can do that anymore. Not that you got to throw all those. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to have to mix in more first down passes because it keeps the quarterback in a comfortable situation where it's not must pass, because must pass is a quarterback's nightmare. Now some guys can overcome it, but to think you're going to consistently overcome a third down and 8+ or whatever is just not very realistic. So I think that would help if they did that. Again, running the ball, when you do run the ball downhill. You can't, like I said in the film study, you can't run every ball inside the tight ends. You got to have a perimeter running game. But I think that's kind of the alternative, not the first option. Once you've run the ball inside some, I think then you can exploit or explore, I should say, the edges. But this team is a dual power team, and their best plays go within the inside the tight end box. So that has to be, and then the play actions off those same looks, or similar looks, so that you're getting bites and open receivers. So I just think it would help. It would help the quarterback a little bit. I think they're still first a running team, so let's not lose sight of what we are. But the mix would be beneficial, I think. So, and they did run a couple trick plays, which was kind of cool. I think they knew what they had to do. They showed a little nuance in their running game, a little bluff power, where they had the wing fake like he was going to block the outside linebacker and go out to the corner, which kind of set the power play up a little better. They always got neat little deals with their run game that are not really within their wheelhouse, but might be just subtle nuance that's a little different for the defense. So I like that approach.
So yeah, man, I think that to do the things to get him in a comfort zone, and understanding at the same time, you got to understand at the same time, you got to give him grace. It's his fourth start. That you got to live with some things. Like we were talking about it, like he missed that touchdown to Marlon Klein. There was he missed the touchdown to Marlon Klein. There was the one. There was also the one where he missed the first down to who was it that he missed
Tyler
on
Morris.
Tyler Morris, where he stared down, he tried to force it to Colston. I mean, you're gonna have those plays like that.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that, okay? Colston's your go-to. I'm not kidding ourselves there, okay? But there are going to be times when the go-to isn't the best option, okay? And on the first third down, they ran what I call a little chase combination where Morris was shallow crossing, and then Colston was coming right in behind him, kind of chasing the route. That's why I call it a chase route. They played cover one with a rat player. Rat player meaning that short hole player that will take away crossing routes and option routes. And if Loveland is your main receiver, he will lean his direction, which he did there. They let Morris go. They didn't necessarily let him go, but he was the defensive back was trailing Morris on the shallow. The rat player stole Davis's eyes and jumped in front of Colston on the chase and broke the play up. Now that would have been the first down. So Colston's going to get his catches. He's going to get his catches. Because the game plan, as you can tell, for the last couple of years, is centered around getting him the ball. It's just not going to happen every time. Okay, and that's when the quarterback's got to know, use your other guys, and they'll get you some first downs, and they'll get Colston open. So that's kind of the moral to that story.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like your quarterback young in starts is going to try to force it to his go-to guy. So kind of coaching him through that is going to be a thing that you work on. Kind of coaching him through trusting his protection is something that comes with it, with the territory, which gets back to what I was talking about in the early going as a play caller. This is me, what I'm learning from just being around you. It's like, man, you gotta as a play caller, you gotta do your part to make him comfortable by giving him don't always put him in a position of making him throw in obvious pass situations all the time.
Yeah, that's
Like, you got to
critical.
give him some first down passes when they aren't necessarily expecting him to throw the football.
Well, here's the thing, Sam. He hasn't thrown an interception. Has he thrown his last 2 starts? I don't think he's thrown an interception, has he?
No.
So he's kind of built some trust there now, you know? So you can kind of go back to what you really probably wanted to do early in the season, but it kind of backfired on you with some interceptions. But you can probably go back to that now. I think he's feeling better about those downfield throws on early downs. So why not incorporate some? You know, see what he can do.
Yeah, and especially when because this is what I imagine is the thought process. I want to get to the grades. Man, if we get an incompletion on first down, we're in second and long. We're in second and 10, right? But but you're in second and long because they're getting nailed on first down anyway. So you're in second and long anyway. So what's the risk if you're first down? I mean, I'm sure you've crunched the numbers, and these first down runs aren't gaining yards anyway. So you aren't losing anything by giving him these first down pass plays. You might as well mix in, and I'm not saying throw every. I'm just saying
no. That you don't want to do that.
Yeah, give him.
You will end up in a million second and longs, but you got to pick your spots. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and hopefully you get your run game cranked up enough where you can get the core of the defense biting some of those looks, and you can get some balls behind them, which they did a couple times in this game. So it's a delicate balance, man, and you got to have a plan for second and long too. That's critical, because knowing that you're going to miss some of those early downs, they're not going to hit all those. Have a play that can get half the yardage back, whether it be run or pass, and put you in a manageable third down. Have a plan for if it does fail. Have a contingency plan. I'm sure they do, but that's how you have to think as a coordinator. If it hits, this is what I'm running. If it doesn't hit, this is what I'm running, so that we don't end up third and a million, because now that's the nightmare, right? You get that 3rd and 8+, and your odds of getting the first down plummet. So just have a good plan for whatever happens, any scenario, and you'll be good to go.
Absolutely. All right, Al. So let's go ahead and let's get to your grades. It's time for the Al Borges grades from the game. The Wolverines lost to the Oregon Ducks 38-17. Let's start with the quarterback. What was your grade for
the quarterback? Cut his minuses in half. I gave him a B- to C+. He still had some plays he should have made or could have made, but he wasn't awful, and he improved. And that's you got to crawl before you walk. So I thought he did pretty well. Uncharacteristically, the backs had a couple bad reads where there were cavities in the defense, and I think we missed or denied some holes. I gave them a C, and I usually grade the backs higher than that, but I don't think this was their best game. The tight ends, Colston again was such a factor. I gave them a B. I didn't think it was great, but it was pretty good. The offensive line, I gave a C+. Again, they had some nice plays and they had some bad plays, but they were not a mess. And they played against a very good front, and it was challenging. So, and the wide receivers, I gave a B. They look like they blocked pretty good. Again, you're not getting a lot of big plays out of them, which is disappointing, but it is what it is. But they were fairly solid. So, no, it was not an outstanding performance, but it wasn't a complete mess either. So I just think against the opponent, you were going to have to be fine. You're going to have to be not necessarily perfect, but you were going to have to take advantage of opportunities. And that's where the game could have been won. But we didn't do that in some instances, and that's why it turned out the way it did.
If you have questions for Coach Borges, now is the time to get them in the chat. If you have questions for Coach Borges, now is the time to get them in the chat, and we will start knocking them down. It's 2nd and 10. Someone said it can be a play caller's nightmare.
Doesn't have to be, though. Doesn't have to be. 3rd and 10 is a play caller's nightmare. But anytime you get off schedule, okay, you don't gain 4 yards, 3-4 yards on first down, you have to. I used to always keep a set of plays, 8 to 10 plays that attacked second and long. Okay, and they weren't all passes, but the whole goal was to try and get half the yardage back so we had a manageable first down, a manageable third down, I should say. So you got to have a plan for it.
All right. I know there are a few that jumped in earlier. Here's one from Evander R. Why didn't they try any type of end zone fade with Loveland in that last offensive series? They have a 6'5" athlete that can go up and get it. Why not throw it to him in the red zone, Coach Borges?
Oh, you probably could. I haven't seen them do much of that with him. It's not really in their power. That doesn't mean they can't. That doesn't mean they can. I'm not saying that's a bad question. But yeah, I think that's probably an option, particularly if you feel like your other options aren't as good. And he is a very dependable guy. But I don't know that he's been used in that situation very much.
Yeah, it was an interesting play, that last one.
The reverse pass? Yeah. Yeah, here's the deal on that, okay? It's because everybody's going to scream bloody murder on that, and I guess rightfully so. But understand something: when you're down in the red area, you're kind of anticipating some man-to-man coverage. Right now, Oregon doesn't play quite as much as other teams do, but in man-to-man coverage, no one has the quarterback, and that's what I'm sure they were thinking: is nobody's going to cover the quarterback. So we'll pitch the ball or do whatever, a reverse action, and kind of sneak the quarterback out of the backfield. And if it's man-to-man, he's sitting out there wide open. Well, they caught him out of the corner of their eye, and they covered it. And it was a one option, one and done. Either that was going to work or it was going to be dead, right? So it was untimely, but I understood the thinking on the play.
And I think that's kind of my problem with it, that it was a one option play. In a do or die scenario, in a one play, like this is play in an all or nothing scenario. Mm-hmm. I want more than one option on an all or nothing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I would lean that direction myself.
And then, and in an all or nothing scenario, in an instance where I gotta have someone making that choice on that play, I would rather it be someone used to making that decision. So Samaj is not used to making that decision.
Right.
I'm not gonna blame Samaj because Samaj throws that ball out of bounds. I'm not gonna blame Samaj for that. Samaj's not used to making that choice. Mm-hmm. Because he throws it out about you would rather that ball be thrown. So Alex is covered on the play. Right. He's blanketed. The end is not fooled, that no one's fooled on the play. Right. So, throw it up. It might be picked off because he's blanketed. But the ball is thrown out of bounds, so he didn't even have a chance to.
Yeah, that's not his deal. That's not.
Yeah,
it's that. You're counting on him being ridiculously open on that play, right?
Right.
There's no decision, right?
But even with him ridiculously covered, you could throw it to him in the end zone, and he might moss the guy and come down with it, right?
Pass interference. Hell, who knows?
He doesn't even have a chance to do that because it's thrown 5 yards out of bounds, 10 yards out of bounds.
Yeah.
But it's thrown. But the point is, it's thrown out of bounds because Samaj is not used to doing that. And that's kind of the point. Like, if that's a quarterback making that decision now, then at least it's thrown in bounds. Mm-hmm. And so that all kind of problems with that play call to me.
No, that's a fair argument. That's certainly a fair argument. All I'm saying, I kind of know why they did it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it was a great decision. Obviously, it wasn't, but I kind of know why they did it. There was a reason.
Yeah, I get you. Hey, if you make the play, and this is what I'm sure a play caller would say. Yeah, make it. You're a hero. You're a genius. You're a genius if it works.
Is that always the case,
yeah, you're a genius if it works, and if it doesn't work, you're an idiot. If it doesn't work, right?
Yeah,
that's how.
Trust me, I've been both, and more probably an idiot than anything. But yeah, that's play calling, man. That is play calling. You take your best educated guess. Hopefully, it is an educated guess, and you're just not swiping an error, And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it should work and doesn't. Sometimes it shouldn't work and does. So that's the nature of the beast.
All right, here's one from Frank Ramatra. Al, why no wildcat package for Dino with our QB situation? He should have been taking 5 snaps a game.
You know why I think that is, and I can't add. You'd have to ask the coach, but I think that that Alex is kind of supplementing that wildcat package because that's kind of what he's doing. To put more in there would be just taking more natural snaps away from the offense. So I would guess that's why. You could run some wildcat with him, but again, that's kind of been Orji's role, right or wrong.
All right. Scott Patton says, Al, would you utilize a 2 QB system? I think he means like a true 2 QB.
2 in the game at the same time?
Oh, yeah, I guess clarify. I think he means.
I'm not sure what that is, but I have. I have used it with Devin and Denard. We call it deuce package, where we use both at the same time, which I think there's a place for that too, a handful of plays. You could do that, What they just choose to do is just use Alex in spots, and it's been effective. So you can't really say there's anything wrong with that.
Here's another one. This one from Andres Martinez. I'm in favor of under center. I'm in favor of under center, but just more play action. That helps the receivers that aren't that great at getting separation get away after a hard run fake.
Yeah, I've always been under the contention that you get more gross bites with under center play passing than you do anything. The fakes are longer. They jerk defenders more and tend to get receivers more open. Now, guys can make an argument the other way. I don't know. But I have just found certain plays are just better play action-wise from under center. Now, in today's day and age, you're only playing under center a certain amount of time. So you got to have a package under center where you're handing that ball to that guy, and that's a little, so that those other plays will marry up. But I would agree that under center play passing generally is I don't know, is more effective. It just gets bigger bites from the defense than shotgun play passing, for the most part.
Okay. Adam Shepardson says, Coach, what are your thoughts on the game plan to attack East-West versus Oregon early?
I think we talked about that to a degree. Early is the key. I think that's where I say their strength is running the ball inside the tackles, tight ends, downhill. Okay. And that has to be, 70-80% of your run game, maybe more. Okay. But you do have to have a perimeter run game. You have to. I mean, you could choose how you want to do that, with whether it's stretch plays, which they don't do much, but pin and pulls they do, those types of things, fly action sweeps, those types of things. But early in the game, against a really, really good defense, you got to kind of pick and choose on that stuff. I'd rather throw the ball on early downs, come downhill with your run game, wear them out a little bit, and then try some perimeter runs. I mean, in this last game, that's probably like that. Now, certain games, I've run perimeter runs early, feeling like we could, and generally they were effective, whether it be fly actions or reverses or such. But I think that's really, at the end of the day, what do you do best, right? And what do you think is going to be the most effective? But I think more than the outside runs, you could critique that and you have a case. But I think early down passing is more critical to the production.
Al, have you watched Indiana at all?
I have.
Scouted Indiana? All right.
Yes, I have. Quite a bit, matter of fact.
All right. So this is a very good question for you then. Coach Borges, what weaknesses do you see in Indiana's defense?
Indiana is very similar front-wise to Oregon, okay? They will play 4-2 looks and odd looks. Almost looks the same in terms of that. The difference is Oregon is more of a pure quarters team, pure 40 team, where Indiana will line up in 40 every single time, but will generally roll a safety down either weak or strong and end up in a one-high look. So what are their weaknesses? For the most part, I think verticals are good. High-low flood routes, whether middle of the field or outside the field, anything that's good against a 3-deep zone, okay? Because they're going to be in a 3-deep zone a lot more than Oregon was. So your pass approach might have to be a little bit different. Running the football, I would do what we do. I think we'll hold up fine against Indiana, although their front's good, but I don't think it's as good as Oregon's. But it's good, and I think, but I still believe that those dual plays, those power plays, those pin and pulls, those types of things that will be very effective against Indiana. But I think that the passing game has to be vertical or take horizontal, curl flat type deals. That's good stuff too. But if you want shots, you want big bites, you got to attack the creases in the 3 deep zone or at the high-low, the outside flat defenders.
That is some great stuff. There's some great detailed stuff there, Al. Here's one from Don M on YouTube who asks Al, question, beyond play selection, what does Michigan need to do to sustain drives and score more?
Oh God, that's a that's a big question there. You've got consistency of education, of execution, I should say. The ability to put plays back, successful plays back to back. Offensive football is about getting in sync. Okay, getting in sync. If you get in sync, and you get in sync by maybe sometimes it's only gaining 4 yards, but the next play you gain 7 yards. You don't have continual failures. You don't constantly have to play behind the chains. Okay, that's how you get in sync, and that's what they have to find a way to do early. Okay. And again, we alluded to maybe more first down passing. Now, again, I'm not saying turn it into a first down passing circus because they're too good a running team for that. But mix more. And the quarterback has shown that he's not been throwing the ball to the other team. So why not, right? At this point, why not?
What did you say? 8 of the first 9 first downs were run?
Yeah, the first down was a crack toss, lost 5. The second first down was a fly arc to Colston that lost 2 plays. The next lost 2 yards. The third first down was a power reverse that gained nothing. The fourth first down was an Orji play that gained 4, another run, a duo kick on 1st and 15 that gained 4, and then a counter OY that gained 7. So up until play 18, there was not a first down pass thrown. Now some of those were effective, but the first 3 series they were not. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Southwest Line, there are some interesting debates going on in chat. So I'm jumping into some of these debates, just taking out some of the interesting points. The Southwest Line 26 in the middle, one of them says, all I know is Michigan seems to run the same play just based on their formation. You're making it too easy for the defense when you do that. Do you notice?
I would take issue with that. No, Michigan changes formations constantly. They're in double tight end looks all the time. They're in shift double tight ends. I don't agree with that. That's not necessarily the case. They are not easy to defend. Sometimes they don't execute perfectly. I'll give you that. But they have always, because of their double tight end package and the multiple places that they'll put their tight ends motion to or shift, I don't think it's easy at all. And I think a lot of the defenses that face them would tell you it is not easy to deal with the flanking maneuvers that they use with their wing formations, their bunch formations, and all that stuff. Now they're not as good at it this year, so that's an easier statement to make. But with regard to predictability, I don't think they're that predictable. And there are times when you don't much care if they know. You don't want that to happen all the time, but every so often it's got to be high diddle diddle. Here we come, So yeah, I don't necessarily adhere to what that is with that statement.
All right, Al, without saying who, you can answer this question, but Cameron Diggs wants to know, Coach Borges, did you vote like Two Straps did? Meaning me. Did you vote like did you vote? Have you already?
I voted 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave my political views to myself because I'll lose half the fan base if I was able.
All right. Jared Sambursky says, why would they pull Warren every time he made a few good throws and then go to a wildcat, really Orji design run? It worked once, but most other times it felt like it killed Warren's momentum.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Warren, but I think the inclusion of Orji in their offense has been really good since they went to Davis as the starting quarterback. and there has to be spots where you're using them, right? So you don't want to just use them when things aren't going well. Okay, you want to use them sometimes after a big play where maybe Davis made a good play, and then slip him in there and do something, get him back out, and go back to normal offense. That's how he was used 2 weeks ago, very beneficially. So, so you kind of script it a little bit. I mean, there's some game flow to it too, but you're going to put him in there after a good play. You're going to put him in there after a bad play. But in terms of it destroying the kids' confidence or momentum or whatever, I mean, I'd have to ask him. Most quarterbacks don't mind it. They don't mind it because he's not built for some of the plays that Orji's running. And as long as Orji's running those successfully, it's a good plan.
All right. As we keep on. Yeah, and they finally ran a pass with Alex, but Oregon scouted it really well.
They were disciplined. They played it. But what's good, though, what's good is they covered the hell out of it, okay? But what's good is they know he will. They know he will. They know now that they can't just say that every time he's in the game it's going to be a run. And I think you probably got to do that every week. I mean, if his handful of plays is 8 to 10 plays, 1 or 2 of those have to be a pass, maybe more, just so they know they can't play on the line of scrimmage or check their fronts to all run defenses indiscriminately.
All right. Kellen Sandifer says, should the offense just focus on downhill runs instead of trying to run outside?
No. But that's the emphasis. That's the emphasis. The emphasis still has to be downhill runs because that's their strength. But you always have to have a perimeter run game. You can't run every ball between the tackles. That's ridiculous. People say, and every time you run an outside run and they lose yards, go, you can't. The speed of their defense is too good. No. You still got to have that in your offense. But if it's your MO and they run well, that's probably a bad idea. But their pin and pulls have been very good. Their pin and pulls, particularly their Q pin and pulls, have been very good. And those are outside runs. But it's 1 in every 5 rather than, half and half.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's half and half, but that's just the equation I'm saying.
Yeah. Time for a few more with Coach Borges. Adam Shepherdson wants to know, Coach, do you feel like Warren's play can carry over versus Indiana?
Yeah, I do. If he can play like that against Oregon, he can play that even better against Indiana. Not that Indiana deserves respect, hell, they're 9-0. But I think if he can turn in a really good performance, you have a hell of a football game with these guys. They're good. They can move the ball and play pretty good defense. But the quarterback dictates so much of your fate. Unfortunately or fortunately, whether you got a good quarterback, he dictates so much of your fate. If he can put together a hell of an effort, they'll play a hell of a game. So, I think he can.
I think how you help him as your coach and as a play caller is vitally important. They did a good job of helping him improve from 1 week to. He did a good job himself of improving from one week to the next. Al, he just grew from 1 week. He was better, but they gotta help. Give him some early down passes. I think that's critical because I think he earned. You used the word. He earned some trust.
Yeah,
the man earned some trust.
Yeah, I think. My approach with the quarterback, whether it's right or wrong, I mean, I don't have all the damn answers, but for the most part, I wanted to get the quarterback a couple high percentage throws in the first 15 to 17 plays. I wanted to get the quarterback a couple of shots, and I wanted to move the pocket about every third pass play. That way he wasn't always standing in the middle. We'd run a naked bootleg or some kind of a waggle or something where he wasn't, the launch point changed, so they didn't always know exactly where to rush. That tends to help him, okay? That tends to help him because A, he can get confidence with the high percentage throws. B, he can get chunks with the shots. And C, he's not always in the same place where the pass rush knows where he's going to be. So, right or wrong, that was usually my thinking.
Yeah, he made some clutch throws in the end zone, like some playmaker throws. So he made some
more than one. More than one. Yep.
He made some playmaker throws in the end zone. So you like that. And then, now some of the some of the non-playmaker plays that were there, like the first down play, the one that he tried to force to Colston. That wasn't a playmaker play. It's like that's one where you want him to just not predetermine where you're trying to go with the football, right?
Mm-hmm.
The would have been touchdown. That's one that gets back to that comfort where I think that might just be a rep thing. Where as you're coaching him and he has some more experience, maybe that's just you're gonna calm down, and you might maybe it's you're gonna take a hit, or you might take an extra beat or extra step. But if you do those things, you're gonna take a hit, or you're gonna take an extra beat. But if you do one of those things and you loft that ball over and you get it over him to Marlon Klein, young fella, this is a touchdown. It is a touchdown. Oh my God, it is a touchdown, Al Borges.
Yeah,
and it's a different story.
I may make this more simplistic than it is, but the quarterback's job is to be fundamentally sound with his footwork, wise with his decisions, and stay out of trouble by forcing balls into coverage. Okay. And your footwork will dictate the timing of the throw. When the footwork's off, the timing shot. And I mean, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, Sam, every step counts. Every step that isn't part of the drop, it counts if you're throwing the ball through structure. Okay. Number 2, let your eyes take you through the progression without preconceived ideas, because Colston Loveland's going to be open, but sometimes the other guy's going to be more open. Okay. So let your eyes take you through the progression, let your feet handle the timing, and let you use your improv skills once the first 2 don't go. Okay. Don't do one before the other. Okay. And generally, more often than not, you'll make a good decision and accurate throws.
Yeah. And then the very last piece would be trust the protection. Even
Yeah,
though
you got to trust the protection. Yeah. And
even
sometimes
sometimes it's not trustworthy.
that's right. That's
Anyway.
exactly you took the words right out of my mouth. Sometimes you got to trust the protection when there's no evidence to prove you should. That's a man there. It's a man. A guy that'll do that. That's a man. That's the kind of guy I want playing for me, because people underestimate the importance of toughness at that position.
Yeah, and they did, and I remember in the second half of the game, because some pressure came off the right side. I was like, look, they know they got issues. They're gonna have to chip or something. And then they did it. They did it on like the next play. They chipped. They put Klein on that side. Games was helping, and they released Klein up. I can't remember if they threw it to Klein, but they threw it over to that side, and they had a completion after they chipped in on that side. It's like, okay, yeah, do some things to help the man out. You want him to trust the protection, knowing you got issues on that side, right? So, don't just ask the man to trust, knowing you got issues over there, right? You do some things to help the man out. So, but
No doubt.
they can get. People say there's just no chance against Indiana. Indiana has really good scheme, veteran players, and they are super disciplined. They do not beat themselves. They don't get penalties. They don't turn the football over. So they are beating up on teams for a reason. But I keep saying they aren't going to out athlete you like Oregon, like Michigan. If they carry over what we just saw them do in spots in this game, listen, it's going to sound ridiculous to say it. It's going to sound ridiculous to say it coming off of Michigan losing games that they've lost this season. But they can go out. They can go in here and win this game.
Absolutely. They're an eyelash away from taking the number 1 team in the country down the line. I mean, they score the touchdown, I don't know, 8 minutes left or so. It's 31-24. Okay. Now the crowd's in the game. They didn't. Okay. And then it was 38-7, whatever it was. But it's a play here, it's a play there, it's a good call here, it's a bad call there. It's a the game flow. If you start executing and you start feeling your oats, you can beat anybody if you're
now they could get destroyed if they go out there.
Sure you can. Hell yeah, that's a possibility too. Yeah, that's a possibility. This team is capable of doing that. They did it to a couple of, but they're also capable of getting beat if the other team comes to play. Michigan is not horrible. They do some things well, and they can play good defense. Don't count them out. No way. I may eat my words. I don't know. I don't care.
Well, no. If Michigan goes in there and makes all the mistakes that we've seen them make,
they'll get bombed. Yeah,
they'll get embarrassed.
Yes, but
this team does not beat themselves. They will get embarrassed.
Yeah, you don't anticipate that. As a coach, you go in with the idea that we're going to let it rip. We're going in there. We're going to let it rip. We're Michigan, okay? And we're going to play, and I don't care who the opponent is, and I don't really care what the record is. We're going to go in there, and we're going to play. And we're going to make them beat us. We're not going to beat ourselves. And we're going to do what we do best.
Well, I got to get to Vance. You are 5 minutes late, so I got to get to Vance.
Vance is going to be pissed now, but I'm not. Hey, yeah, I'm blaming you. If Vance asks, I'm blaming you. So don't. I'm not taking a hit on Vance.
All right. That's going to do it for us, folks. This has been fun, as always. Appreciate you supporting the breakdown. We'll see you next week on the next edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the offense with Al Borges. We appreciate you.
Go Blue.